Anti-trans sports bills being signed into law across the country seek to create a problem that just doesn't exist, all for the sake of perpetuating hate against vulnerable groups. This isn't about preserving competition in sports. It's a way to mobilize would-be voters by turning trans rights into a political football. I encourage the Department of Education to prioritize finalizing this proposed revision to protect our transgender youth. And I encourage my Republican colleagues to stop picking on kids. I yield back.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's nice to see you all again. There are 3 certainties in life. Get ready for this one. Death, taxes, and woke Democrats absolutely embarrassing themselves. Well, I guess the taxes part is a bit up in the air if you are a politician, but nonetheless, we recently just had a congressional hearing all to do with the Biden administration trying to push for males identifying as women to still compete in the women's category within sports. Yeah, Riley Gaines was also in attendance at this hearing, and along with other women, they were pushing back against this. Now, as we know, Riley Gaines has done amazing things for girls' sports, women's sports, and also along with that, obviously, is standing up for truth, reality, and common sense. The Daily Mail report. Gaines, ex-Oberlin lacrosse coach Kim Russell, and the Heritage Foundation's Sarah Parshall-Perry attended a hearing at the House Subcommittee for Healthcare and Financial Services regarding the impact of trans women's inclusion in women's sports. It comes as the Biden administration's Education Department is pushing to change Title IX to support the inclusion of trans athletes in women's sports. Wow. How stunning and brave of them. I can hear the seals clapping around the world as I speak. But Fox News also added a little bit more context to this whole situation. Rep. Lisa McClain, our Mitch, the House Oversight Subcommittee on Health Chairwoman, announced on Tuesday that Gaines, Heritage Foundation Senior Legal Fellow Sarah Parshall-Perry, and former Oberlin College head women's lacrosse coach Kim Russell would attend next week's hearing titled The Importance of Protecting Female Athletics and Title IX. The hearing will delve into the Biden administration's proposed rule change to Title IX to expand the definition of sexual discrimination to include gender identity. Oh boy, the proposed change would mean a school or college could not ban transgender athletes from competing. Well, they're not actually banned, are they? They're required to compete in the right category. McClain told Fox News Digital last week that the Congress must do everything it can to protect women's sports. So a lot of action with these hearings going on, and I think we can only hope it goes the right way. It really does boggle my mind just reading that article. You know, you think there are people genuinely out there who are voting for a party that wants to erode women's sports. That's crazy. And come 2024, they'll do exactly the same thing again. But a woke Democrat woman has provided a viral moment that everybody is talking about all over social media because, well, as I said at the beginning of this video, she absolutely embarrasses herself and gets owned by Riley Gaines. You see, these people, when you call out anything to do with woke ideology, in this case women's sports, their default response is just to throw out the buzzwords. They know nothing else, and they do it in a means to, I don't know, silence people, try and make people look mean and hateful. But in this case, and in a lot of cases, actually, it doesn't go down too well for this woman.
It's disappointing to me that although the title of this hearing implies a much needed discussion, we're likely going to be forced to listen to transphobic bigotry. In terms of mental health, studies show that participating in youth sports is associated with lower rates of anxiety and depression, lower amounts of stress, higher self-esteem and confidence.
Women must stop. Inclusion cannot be prioritized over safety and fairness. And Ranking Member Lee, if my testimony makes me transphobic, then I believe your opening monologue makes you a misogynist. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gaines. I now recognize Ms. Perry for her opening statements.
Good afternoon, Chairman McClain, Ranking Member Lee, and distinguished members of the subcommittee. My name is Sarah Parshall-Perry. I am a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. As a former varsity athlete, the mother of a girls varsity athlete, and former senior counsel for civil rights at the Department of Education, I have, as the saying goes,
Madam Chair, excuse me, I move to have the gentlewoman's words taken down.
The committee will suspend.
Madam Chair, she's engaging in personalities.
Can I just ask how it's fair to be called transphobic?
There's a...
Thing.
I would say men disguising themselves as women are engaging in personalities.
Order. Yeah. Hang on. Order. Let's get a ruling. The chair.
Okay, I move to withdraw the point of order.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. I now recognize Ms. Perry for her opening statement. We can start over. Thank you.
Yeah, these people are, they're nuts. Let's just be honest here, because it doesn't make any sense to go down this route. It really doesn't. When these Democrats sit there and label women's testimonies transphobic bigotry, which I'm surprised she only said 2 buzzwords. Normally they go for a lot more, but women like that and AOC would stand up for women's rights. Would they not? Yet they're sat there advocating for men going into women's sports and taking places away, awards away, money away from other women. It doesn't make sense. It never has made sense. I honestly don't know. And of course, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I honestly do not know how these people walk around and operate in that frame of mind, and it never clicks within them. Yeah, you know what? Maybe what I'm saying here is delusional and backwards. That's just me. And let's just remind ourselves here, women like Riley Gaines and the average person, by the way, everybody gets it. They're being labeled as transphobic. It's all bigotry because they want women's sports to be fair and safe, and also want to stand up for truth, reality, and common sense. This is what it's come down to. You stand up for those things, you're now mean and hateful. This is 2020. This is our world now. It's a scary thought, it really is. And if you thought the delusion ended there, nah. If you thought the insanity stopped, nah. I've got more to show you. We have the CEO and president of the Women's Law Center coming out and saying this at the hearing. It just shows you how bizarre these people are. Take a watch.
And success in school sports depends on a whole range of factors, including how hard you work and coaching and access to really good resources and facilities. And trans students participate in sports for the same reason as their kids, because it is fun, because it creates belonging and community, because it teaches so much about persistence and leadership and discipline, unless they learn to lose gracefully, hopefully. And often they learn to win with dignity, hopefully. They learn to do the sort of work that means you have higher grades and stay connected to school. I want every kid to have that chance, to have the chance to play. So I feel compelled to just end my testimony with a few ideas for the committee to pursue if it really wants to work on this issue.
What an idiot.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I really don't know about you guys. Women should lose gracefully to men in their sports. There has to be something in the tap water. It really does. There's no other explanation at this point, but there is another misconception that is put out by these people on purpose, and they do it on purpose to emotionally guilt trip people. There is nobody being banned from sports, by the way. Let's just get that one out there again. You know, nobody's being banned from sports. People now are just being required to compete in the right category, as it always should have been. And if these people love the sport so much, right, if these trans athletes love the sport so much that they're competing in, then there should be no issue with competing in the men's category, right? Yeah, it's really that simple, isn't it? But simple things these days, as we know, are hard to find. But let's just close out this video by showing you guys a little bit of Riley Gaines' testimony, where she talks about a load of things, which obviously is, you know, transphobic bigotry. I forgot to mention that part. And she also brings up where she had to share a locker room with Lia Thomas, which again, obviously, you know, speaking out against that is just transphobic bigotry. Take a watch.
In March of 2022, female swimmers from around the country and I were forced to compete at NCAAs against Lia, formerly Lia Thomas. We watched as this male swam to a women's national title, beating out the most impressive and accomplished female swimmers in the nation, including Olympians and American record holders. Despite tying down to the 100th with Thomas in the 200 freestyle, I was denied the trophy because the NCAA claimed it was necessary for Thomas to hold the trophy when photos were being taken. It was clear to me, my teammates, and my competitors that they had reduced everything we had worked our entire lives for down to a photo op to validate the feelings and the identity of a male. In addition to losing out on opportunities to Thomas, we also had to share a locker room and change in front of this 6'4", fully intact, naked male. And as I've testified previously, we were not forewarned of this arrangement. We were not asked for our consent, and we did not give our consent to this exposure and to be exploited. Unfortunately, Thomas was not a one-off. Across the country and in various sports, males are entering women's athletic competitions, being given spots on women's teams, and being granted entry to our locker rooms. There are numerous documented instances of males competing not just in women's swimming, but also in women's track, cross country, basketball, volleyball, field hockey, and other sports at all levels of competition. This issue is incredibly underreported for various reasons. But common sense Americans know intuitively that this is not fair to women. Allowing men into women's sports also puts girls at greater risk of injury. In September of last year, North Carolina high school volleyball player Peyton McNabb suffered serious injury after a trans-identified male player spiked a ball at her head, rendering her unconscious. Peyton experienced extensive trauma to her head and neck and long-term concussion symptoms. Still to this day, a year and 3-ish months later, she is still partially paralyzed on her right side. Her vision is impaired, her memory is impaired, and she isn't playing college sports like she had dreamed of for herself. Just a few weeks ago in Massachusetts, a male player on the Swampscott High School field hockey women's team injured an opposing player with a shot to the face, sending the female athlete to the hospital with significant facial and dental injuries. Injuries, of course, can and do happen when females are playing against other females. But allowing men to play women's sports increases the likelihood and severity of such injuries.
Yeah, and apparently to say those things, all of what she said is mean and hateful. You know, the locker rooms situation, the unfairness, women, girls getting injured, standing up against that makes you evil, a bigot. Yeah, just get a grip, honestly. And all these people, you know, who advocate for girls and women's sports being eroded, I truly do hope it never happens to any of their daughters with this situation. I hope they can play a sport and not have it affected by men also competing, because in that moment when it does happen, because it's now happened to them and they've experienced the injustice, they'll know within them it is wrong in that moment. But they would still have to lie to their daughter's face. Imagine that. Their daughter has gone through a situation, a man's competing, they've lost their award, their place, their money, and they still have to sit there and say to them, well, you know, that is actually a woman, or that is actually a girl, and that is shameful. And maybe in that moment, not AOC or the other woman who called Riley Gaines' testimony transphobic bigotry, but maybe some other Democrats, maybe in that moment, if it did ever happen to them, they would think to themselves, yeah, you know what, maybe I should have listened to everybody's concerns all the way back then. But leave your thoughts down below, ladies and gentlemen, on this whole situation. What are your thoughts on Riley Gaines apparently now being transphobic? She's a big... I'd like to know. If you have enjoyed today, then please for me also, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Comment on this video, share this video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.